Hey, it's Sam here, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is a shopping haul. I feel like my body of work as a bodybuilder would be incomplete without the necessary, obligatory grocery haul. So we're going to go around there, round up a load of food, and I'm going to teach you a bit about nutrition and meal preps and what might help you all along the way. If you want all the help with all the other stuff, like my gym workouts, stuff about protocols, stuff about nutrition in general, contest prep, all of bodybuilding, make sure that you hit the subscribe button below. Then you'll have all that bookmarked as the video comes out every day, and you have that library to refer to and keep learning from for the rest of the year. I'll see you inside. So we're inside now, and this is not a full week's shopping, because what I like to do is go about twice a week so that I'm not looking on the dates of things and then having to change what I'm eating based on the dates. Just get everything fresh and go twice a week. That's the way I do it, because everything's on my doorstep. But we're going to take a roll around this place, and I'm going to make a few selections and comment on them as we go, so that you'll learn something about your nutrition on this little shopping haul. Maybe get some ideas to put in your plans, or find out some things that are going to make your meal preps a little bit more convenient, you know. So I'm starting around the edges, because that's the most important. That's where you've got all the real food, basically. I'd say if you're trying to be healthy and real food kind of diet, if you've gone into the centre aisles, you've really gone off-piste. And the first stuff that I've got to, going around the edges, is all the fruits and stuff. So I'm going to pick up the pineapple and throw that in there. That's really useful because it contains bromelain or bromelain. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I think we should probably go with bromelain. And that helps to digest protein. That helps break down the protein like easier in a meal. So it's kind of what you could call, if you're referring to the diet side of things, you could say it's a dietary ancillary product. So something that I sometimes get that is not in the plan, but if I've eaten a particularly big meal, it would be something that I'd throw in as afters. Next product I've seen I want to comment on is the beetroot. This contains some nitrates, improves blood flow to the muscles, so it's the same kind of compounds that are found in all those pump products, and obviously a bit more concentrated if you get the beetroot tablets, capsules, or those products. But I think 4 of them might have an effect. So we're going pump au natural for next chest sessions. Those are coming on the haul. I was going to make a few comments about asparagus. That's another useful little tool, especially pre-contest, but as it's not here, we'll talk about that another day. Now, as you can probably see like this, I've ended up in a very key aisle with all of the chicken right behind me. So chicken is always a staple, being almost pure protein if you get the chicken breast. But what is quite handy is if you're measuring all your results and you're seeing that having a little bit more fat in those protein carb meals is making no difference, and you want to feel something a bit tastier, we switch to chicken thigh. Has a little bit more fat in it, it's a bit more flavourful and can add more energy into the diet without changing the overall meal prep and meal plan and structure. So I just want the variety, so I'm picking up the thighs today, but ordinarily I'm getting the chicken breast, and I eat about 1 kilo of that per day, usually in the chicken and rice meal. So that's always a staple. It's a little bit of a boring one to have there, but it's worth knowing that you can just switch to thighs or other cuts of certain meats, like if you're getting away with it, and can add energy in without changing your meal plan. In this particular store, we've got absolutely loads of the organ meats, which are basically gram for gram or calorie for calorie, along with eggs, the most nutrient-dense foods, most concentrated in all the micronutrients. So having just a bit of that in, even if it's just once a week, is super important. It's noticeable difference, honestly. Like when people say, all this liver stuff is like really essential, or you need it every day or whatever, there's usually a scam coming, because they know that people don't usually like the taste of it, and they get them sold on the idea, and then they jump in and say, no, have the powders and pills and capsules of it instead that we're selling, and that tends to be what happens. But it is useful. And I'm just seeing if I can get kidney today, because I haven't had that for a while. It's not quite as nutrient rich as the liver, but as they're all so high and so much higher than the other foods along with eggs, there's not really a lot in it. So if I can find the kidney today, that's going to be my choice for convenience. But what I'm seeing straight away is heart. If you have if you have heart, if you're not keen on the taste of organ meats, the one that's kind of closest to a steak, that's like the entry point for actually finding it palatable, would be heart. I'd recommend it if you can get it all chopped up. And if you don't overcook it, if you treat it like a steak and just sort of cook it like you're cooking it medium, they're pretty tasty. Definitely like more approachable for most people than the liver or the kidney, which I'm not seeing. So I think, as I've seen it and I've commented on it, it's going to be the heart for me today. That brings us on to the fish section, and they've got all sorts here. They've got really good fishmongers down Morrison's. They've even got squid. I might have that for a change. But when you talk about fish, like if you want the pure protein ones, you're looking at basically the most flavourless ones. So you're looking at tuna, tilapia, cod, haddock, any bag that just says random white fish on it. And then on the other end, the fattiest ones, so you've got things like anchovies and mackerel. And then on the leaner end, but not completely pure protein, you've got like sea bream, sea bass, a bit fattier than that, but not the most fatty. You've got stuff like salmon. So that's how the continuum kind of sits. I really like sea bass and sea bream the most. They taste pretty similar. So if you're finding like the absolute white fish unpalatable, similar kind of swap to having the chicken thigh instead of the chicken breast, if you're getting on with it fine and measuring your results, so you think you can have, a few extra grams of fat here and there, but make the whole system more palatable and doable, some kind of switch from tuna to something like sea bream or sea bass is recommended. They've got just about everything here. I'm not too hot on the squid because I don't know exactly how to cook it, but what I'd be looking to restock at the moment is something like the sea bass, because I'm finding it a little bit bland, all of the white fish in my post-workout meal, where I have the cream of rice and the white fish, basically the squishy stuff that's going to digest quickly and make me ready for the meal after that much sooner. So I'm seeing the white fish type thing. I'm seeing haddock. I'm seeing bassa. That's another super lean one. And am I seeing? Oh, I'm seeing sea bream. Yeah, that's what I want. I want something of that kind of category, that kind of very lean, but not the leanest that I can get away with. So, sea bream's coming out of the ocean onto my plate. Hopefully you get some good ideas out of this, or learn a little bit about nutrition on the way. But I do know that the bodybuilding shopping haul is like one of the most generic video formats we've seen, and I'm just kind of hoping as well that perhaps something entertaining will happen. Like the one who really nailed it on the shopping trip video of all time, of all bodybuilders, for me is definitely Marcus Rule. You'll see it on YouTube. There's one where he just looks so enormous and so freaky, and he's wearing a tank top in a supermarket. There's a woman like at the checkout who looks actually offended and disgusted looking at him, and it's just amazing. I'm not anywhere near that kind of level, but I did have a bit of fun on the way in. A guy said to me, he was trying to sell something and then trying to catch people at the entrance. He started a bit of banter and he said, don't be jealous, I've got bigger muscles. And it's like, I sort of feel like I'm hiding it like quite well in the big hoodie, that I could be kind of any kind of build, quite discreet, but I don't know. Here's a really good one. Here's a good one to comment on. This is on offer as well. I'll show you like some of the crazy offers we've got going on. We've got all of this. Butcher's Special best ribeye steak. I did have a ribeye the other day, but what they got on special is the prime top side. So if I had to break down like your red meats in terms of leanness, like I just did with the fish, on the lean end you've got like silver side and top side, that's almost no fat. On the fattier end you've got chuck, brisket, ribeye. So you could say like your mackerel is like your sea ribeye, but it's not as tasty and it smells pretty bad, like when you cook it, and then for hours afterwards in your mouth. So, if you're going to go with the fatty fish, I'd say go with the fatty beef over the fatty fish. And if you are going to switch in the fatty fish, be very careful. It's definitely not one for date night, So as I said before, there's just a little stock up and hopefully a bit of info and entertainment. But if you want to see like my full strategy for bulking diet, that's in a separate video from a few weeks ago. It says bulk diet explained, and then I've got one where I'm showing you my meal preps. It's called like full day of eating on a shoulders day. That's worth a look if you're constructing your whole diet from scratch and looking for info videos. Those would be the comprehensive ones. This is sort of to just pick up a few things and teach you a little bit about nutrition and working it out in your head like off the way. We've just reached the free from aisle, so you know that's the aisle with all the like gluten free and dairy free and all that kind of thing. That's actually really useful. Like if you're going centre aisles and processed food, that's kind of worth a look. Like some people get on better with gluten-free oats, and they do contain like traces still usually, these products, but for some people the difference is noticeable. So they've got bits here like the gluten-free oats. I'm not having that today, it's not in my plan. I just thought it'd be worth commenting on that. That's worth a look when you're in the supermarket, that kind of aisle. They'll have all sorts of products like that can be useful. What I do want, that I'm going to swing round to hopefully, is one of the aisles with all the baby food and those kind of products, because I want the baby rice. It's always like, so it's the cliche about the chicken and rice and the bodybuilding diet, and that's because basically the more you eat, the more the effect digestively of each different thing, either positively or negatively, is kind of amplified because of that volume there. So we end up leaning towards white rice because it's a starch carbohydrate, and that's the most useful for bodybuilding because it breaks down straight to glucose, which is stored in muscle glycogen. You probably know all of that, but always the starch is the most useful. But out of the starches, it's that white rice that doesn't have the resistant starch like you get with potatoes, and it also doesn't have the husk that you get with brown rice, all of which make it kind of harder to digest. So when you're eating in quantity, it's really all about the white rice for packing in that amount of carbohydrate that you're using, like on a diet where you're trying to grow. And an even easier version of that can be useful is these cream of rice products. But again, sometimes they have artificial sweetener that can be disruptive to your guts and that. So another alternative is the baby rice, which is basically the same thing. All these cream of rice and baby rice are basically just like rice flour. But when you have the baby rice, it's just the rice flour pretty much, and not a crazy flavouring system. So we're looking for that today. Before we get to the baby rice though, I've just discovered something I really like. This is a real treat. This is proper. I find the right one. Yeah, this is what I want, and it's on offer, so I'll get two. Don't worry, I'm not going to eat it, but that's a real treat. The muscle soak bath salts, that is well earned after a proper leg day, unlike yesterday, or after certain back days where certain heavy rowing and weighted pull-ups and all good stuff, all the proper exercises have been deployed, and you just lie down with that going and relax. That's bliss, that is. I still haven't found the baby rice stuff for the baby food, but on the real rice there are a few things that I can comment on. So usually this cooks the softest, the jasmine rice, so that's coming along. That's a staple, that is. That cooks kind of softer and go down easier than the other types of rice. And then all on this aisle here, you've got the microwave ones, which is really good if you've got a meal prep and a meal plan, and you think, okay, days Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm like out of the house or I'm away. The equivalent amount of one of these, and you've just got, you haven't got access to the stove or your rice cooker, but all you need is a microwave, and you're going to have that, say, the days that you're in office or whatever. You can just work out like the equivalent of like stuff like that, and you can even get the jasmine rice of it. So that's like a really good switch for making it easy to be consistent. Getting these little packs, and you don't have to prep it beforehand. You just throw in and go, and all you need is that microwave there. And it's the same with the cream of rice. Like if you can rely on being near a kettle, which most of us can, wherever we're going to go, when work demands or whatever, that's another good one to have. So I don't need that today, but I just thought that'd be handy to point out. I've just been reliably informed that all the baby formula food and that sort of thing is in aisle 12, so I'm hot-footing it over there. to get the baby rice for using in like post workout ones or other ones where I want, you know, my meals have got delayed for the day and I want to put in something that will digest quicker so that I can be onto the meal that's after that kind of quicker. That's sometimes what I do. So like, I'd recommend that as a tactic if you've got, oh here we go, aisle 12, sorry. If you've got like a system where, say you're eating roughly every 3 hours because you're bulking or whatever, and then you get delayed a meal and 5 hours have elapsed, a really good strategy is to switch like the next meal for the equivalent amount on the cream of rice or baby rice and the white fish, instead of like something that you would have chewed through, like, you know, beef mince and potatoes or whatever else was in the plan. Just switch roughly the amounts, and then about 90 minutes later you'll be good to go again, eating appetite wise. Then you get that next meal in and then you're basically caught up. That's something that I definitely recommend. But they've got all sorts here. There we go, a couple of options here. They've got organic baby rice one, and if I look on the back of that, it just says organic rice flour and then vitamin B1. So there is no added crazy sweeteners or anything like that. Should digest perfectly. But on offer is the other brand, slightly cheaper, which you have to consider when you're buying in bulk and doing like a bodybuilding program. If you see something on offer and it's a staple of your diet, just buy loads of it. What have we got here? See if this is suitable. This looks exactly the same actually. Ingredients: milled rice, vitamin B1, gluten free. Sorted. So that's on offer. So I don't want to take them all because there'll be like some little babies that genuinely need this, and I've got several rice options on the go. So I'll leave most of them. I'll just take 2. There we go. What I was thinking though is it might be quite nice to flavour that stuff, that baby rice a little bit, because it won't have the flavouring system of you know, like the cream of rice I've been using, like the vanilla or the birthday cake or something like that. And it's just occurred to me that it might be a good idea to like squish in some defrosted like frozen fruits. And I'm thinking, if I can get like the frozen blueberries, which are usually down here, I might have made a really good discovery here. If I could just like blueberry flavour it or raspberry flavour it with real fruit, that would be a win. That would make it more appealing and more useful than it is as it stands. I'm not seeing this stuff. You know what? I'm seeing all the frozen vegetables, but not the frozen fruits. I kind of didn't want to make it taste of leeks or broccoli they got here. I was not thinking that would be a good idea. Unfortunately, they haven't got the frozen fruits. It was never going to be a win for absolutely everything, so I'll have to report back on how that idea goes. But what they have got is the granary loaf. So bread is slightly more nutritious than your other starch carbs. So I do like have just a bit in the morning, just like 4 slices there with my mostly egg whites, scrambled egg or scrambled omelette kind of thing. And what I do find is I feel a whole lot better on the bakery fresh bread than on the shelf stuff with all the preservatives and additives and stuff to keep it good on the shelf for weeks on end. The stuff that's on for a couple of days from the actual bakery section, that goes down a whole lot better. So if you want bread in your diet and want to feel better with it, I definitely recommend just switching that up if you're in your big enough supermarket to have a bakery section. Now, I believe that was all of the sensible stuff that I had left to pick up and stock a little bit for the rest of this week, and hopefully picked up a few ideas about, you know, how to treat yourself with a muscle soaked bath and your best carbohydrates, how your red meats and fish sit in terms of leanness, and how you might switch from one to the other to make it more palatable but keep the same meal prep schedule and all that kind of thing. And I think as I've made it close to the end of the video and I am bulking, some sort of cheat and off plan is required. And I've just discovered this weirdest looking ice cream, the Mr. Kipling Cherry Bakewell. Exceedingly good, allegedly. I'm very tempted. I think that's going to come along for the ride. That's going to be interesting, but I think this bulking and this road to 300 pounds would be incomplete without some kind of strange cheat meal choice. Just off to pay now. I feel like I should get like a little bit more exposed and hopefully elicit some strange looks like the Marcus Rule video. So I'm gonna lose the hoodie and prepare to get in line to pay for all this stuff. I mean, it wasn't the world's biggest like bodybuilding food haul, but there's some pretty substantial pieces here, like the whole joint. By the way, this is like really good if you want to save money. This was £6.49 for over half a kilo. It's really not that much more expensive than your chicken, and your red meats are much more nutritious even before you get to the organ meats. And something like this, topside joint, people don't usually do it, but if you do just slice it into like an inch thick, you can fry it as steak, so you can divide this up. You're not committed to kind of putting it all as one and waiting for it to oven roast for over an hour and that kind of thing. You can have it piecemeal and cheaper than going for always like sirloin or well, ribeye, obviously, that's usually the most expensive and the best, but those ones that are traditionally like used as good steaks, you can actually cut up any of it and cook it like a steak. So when you see something like brisket on offer and it's a joint, just buy it and like make it into separate. We've got a divider there, yeah. Just buy it and get it into steaks. It's just a little bit chewier than the normal thing that you'd use as steak, and you know, you save a load of money, have something tastier, something more nutritious, and just, I mean, all of cooking basically is just heat. Like if you play around with it a little bit, be prepared to do a few different cooking methods. You can explore like cheaper options, different things, faster ways of doing meal prep, which always makes things more consistent, which is the name of the game here. So that was a pretty good haul. I'm going to pack up and we'll round up when we get outside of here. All of that came to 40 quid. It's not bad, is it? When you consider like the amount of meat that would be, or if you were going to eat sensibly, which would basically be less than half the amount that I would get through. That's not bad. You just look out for some of the meat offers and think of, you know, a few not as standard cooking methods for some of it, as I was just explaining. It's pretty good. Very luckily, that's all fit in the one bag as well, so I don't have to worry about transport or walk straight home with the one hold also. In the gym bag that you're familiar with, and now stocked on the other most important thing, all the food there. That brings us to the end of today's video. I'm going to actually deploy one of the tactics I was talking about, because having a nap earlier and then getting in here to do the shopping has made me an hour or two behind on the last meal. So I'm going to have something that'll go down easy. So I'm going to get that sea bream in the air fryer and the cream of rice on real quick. That'll digest quickly, and about 2 hours after that maximum, I'll be on something else like a good steak. Thanks for watching. Hit the like if you enjoyed this, found it helpful. Any questions about nutrition, pop it in the comments. Any other questions or requests about anything really, pop it in the comments and I'll pick it up in a future video and reply right there. Thanks.